As you guys probably know, last week, a Highguard developer by the name of Josh Sobel, formerly of Wildlight, as he was one of the people laid off, posted one of the most pathetic, out of touch, just obnoxious statements that a game dev has ever posted to social media. And we have an update on this guy. He has since, after a few days of getting criticism for his horrible post, deleted his entire Twitter account, although he does seem to still have his Blue Sky account up. Now look, I don't really use Twitter much myself. I don't fault anyone for not using it and or deleting their accounts, but when this dude tried to paint himself and Highguard as an innocent victim that did nothing wrong, and then got criticized again because his points were just awful. This was a grown man trying to come off like a giant victim. It was pathetic. And a few days after that, he deletes his account. It's just a funny look. I don't want to forget to mention either, not only was he trying to paint himself and Highguard out as a victim, but he also tried to say that gamers were just like problematic for criticizing his game, and he put a lot of the blame on gamers for Highguard's failure and also on content creators for negative coverage about the game. And it's like, bro, why are people criticizing the game? Why is the coverage negative? Spoiler alert, it's because y'all made a bad game. But these people never admit that stuff. They're perfect. They can do no wrong, apparently, and we're all the ones at fault. They're not out of touch. We are. Right. He even talked about, this was hilarious. He talked about, I'm not going to recap the whole statement. I think everyone's familiar with it, but I do want to mention this because, again, it's hilarious. He was like, during our internal testing, everyone that we had testing the game was talking about how it was a great hit. This was like the next big thing, that they had so much fun, and these people were totally unbiased. And it's like, dude, those people were not unbiased at all. What are you, crazy? How could you actually believe that? On top of the gameplay just being mid or even bad, it was also missing like basic competitive features, and they were trying to market it as a competitive hero shooter type of game. And it's like, what do you mean you tested that and thought it was great and it was missing basic functions? And then some of these devs and their gaming journalist buddies were saying things like, no one gave it a fair shot. It's not fair. Yeah, okay, 100,000 concurrent players. Yeah, you definitely had a fair shot. It's not our fault that the game was bad, like I said before. There's trash articles like this. Highguard's launch and rapid downfall shows how gamers love a flop story more than a fair shot. I'm exhausted. Oh, it's so exhausting, isn't it, Scott? It's exhausting how gamers won't just unquestionably eat the slop and give the corporations their money. Oh, we didn't buy the battle pass. Oh, we didn't buy the microtransactions. Oh, we didn't even play the game. It's so unfair. It's exhausting. I really don't understand how these grown adults in the gaming industry continue to act so pathetic and entitled and out of touch. It's just astonishing. This journalist, Scott, goes on to say, after playing it at a preview event in LA the week before it launched, I thought Highguard had awesome potential. Everyone else at the event agreed. We were put in a room to play for hours and interview developers, and we all felt it was a unique title from experienced industry veterans that combined existing ideas into something new. It didn't matter. Just 2 weeks after launching Highguard, Wildlight Entertainment was hit with mass layoffs, leaving behind a small core team to work on the game after it failed to grab hold of players or create the revenue it apparently needed to survive. Since then, I've seen people celebrating the loss of jobs and the title's failure on social media, and I'm beyond sick and tired of it. Highguard failed for a variety of reasons, and no single facet is to blame. The Game Awards trailer was just plain bad, and not representative of how the game plays at all. Whose fault was that? Whose fault was that? Who made the trailer? Whose game was that in the trailer? Its placement as the one more thing at the end of the show also doomed it in the eyes of many at best, while at worst, others chose it had to be dead on arrival from then on. We now know that Wildlight had no say in that, and it sucks. So to my understanding, that's actually not true. What happened, to my understanding, is Jeff Keighley had that slot open for whatever reason. We don't know the details. Maybe there was another game there that was supposed to have like a paid promotion for that slot. The deal fell through or whatever, so it was opened up. Nevertheless, Jeff approaches Wildlight, says, hey, this slot's open. I'm doing my Game Awards show like I do every year. This mainstay slot at the end is open, and I think it would be cool. I like the game. I think it would be cool if you guys wanted to the game to be featured there. And he said he didn't do it for any cost either. I think he did it for free, just out of generosity, and because he liked the game too. Now, like I said before, far be it from me to be a Jeff Keighley defender. Every time I've brought this guy up in discussions, I've been critical of him, except in this specific context where these fools are trying to put the blame on Jeff. And as someone critical of Jeff, I'm not just like white knighting for the dude. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's pathetic that people at Wildlight and all these gaming journalists, because there's been plenty more than just this Scott guy, have put so much blame on Jeff when ultimately it was Wildlight's decision to take that slot. They agreed. They could have declined. They could have said, no thanks, man, I appreciate it, but we're good. We're going to shadow drop it as we planned, which was their initial plan according to prior claims that they made in interviews. And the trailer that they put up there, that wasn't made by Jeff Keighley. That was made by Wildlight. So what is this journalist saying? Like, oh, Wildlight had no say in it and it sucks. Seeing so many of these industry corpos teaming up against Jeff Keighley when he really didn't do anything wrong here is just disgusting. Like, at least us, being gamers, have criticized him for like things he's actually done. But these people are just making stuff up because their latest slop fell apart and we didn't like it. But now they're trying to like stab Jeff in the back over it, and it's just disgusting to see. It really is. Now, here's an important point that I haven't brought up before, and it is how entitled Wildlight and these corpo journalists are. The game had 100,000 concurrent players. They say it wasn't given a fair shot. Yes, it was. And then they do these mass layoffs because the game can't hold enough of a concurrent player count, as well as people presumably not spending money on microtransactions. And so it begs the question, what did these fools think was going to happen? They wanted to shadow drop this game. No one's heard of the studio before. No one's heard of this game before. They really thought they would shadow drop it and have what, like 50K concurrent, and it would like stay at 50K or something. It seems like they really were so entitled and delusional that they thought they were going to have like a crazy high player count like that, and it would stay like that, right? Because as soon as the player count started dropping from 100K down to like 30K, down to 15K, struggling to stay at 10K, floating down to like 8K, and then even 5K at sometimes, suddenly they lay off most of the team. Some sources saying around 90% of the team got laid off. That part, I don't know if it's true or not, but it does sound like they laid off the majority of the team. And so, like I said, how entitled are these people? What do they really think? Oh, we're going to shadow drop this thing. No one's heard of us, and like we're just going to have tens of thousands of people playing it, and they're just going to spend money. And again, this competitive game didn't even have basic competitive functionality either. And then like mid and or bad gameplay, depending on people's opinions. Very rare do people say they actually like this game. You know, we're talking about like a few hundred people that actually like it. Maybe 1,000 if we're being generous, you know. So I just can't believe the entitlement, like I've said multiple times now. It's just, it's really something that the industry has become like this. So yeah, their excuses don't actually make them look better. I think these excuses make them all look significantly worse, to the extent where even I am defending Jeff Keighley on this, which is crazy. And you know what? I say even I, but I know I'm not unique on this either. I know a lot of people out there, a lot of gamers out there, and other content creators out there who have criticized Jeff Keighley before, just like I have, are also defending him on this point. And that shows how scummy the industry really is, that's where we're at right now. And then we have the gaslighting from this Scott gaming journalist guy. Now he's got to do the appeal to emotion with his manipulation here. As he says, but my main issue with how this has all gone down is, why is anyone celebrating a game failing or people losing their jobs? As a gamer, I want all games to do well. What's your opinion on Hogwarts Legacy, Scott? Just wondering. Just wondering. Just wondering. Obviously, that's not possible, he says, and the space is increasingly crowded, so it's becoming more difficult to stand out with each passing release. But this gamer cancel culture, where people seemingly love to see something fail, is just tiring. And those who attack the devs themselves online need to be ostracized. It's not just the devs either. Anyone who talks about how they enjoy Highguard Online is also getting needlessly targeted. It's embarrassing. I just can't get into the mindset of those who are relishing in another doomed live service title. More jobs lost, more livelihoods appended, especially since Wildlight was built by and for devs who wish to get out from under the AAA umbrella of companies like EA and Activision and make their own thing. We've seen this sort of framing from Highguard defenders, gaming journalists, and from Highguard developers themselves, where they really want to try to paint Wildlight as like on the same level as a 1 to 5 man indie developer studio on Steam that you might see. And it's like, no, you guys are significantly bigger than that. Sure, you're not a AAA studio anymore, but this is arguably like a AA studio. And the culture that they brought to that studio is the same sort of culture that they were involved with in the AAA sector. Same exact slop, same exact toxic positivity, same out-of-touch behavior, same victim-playing devs, same hate for gamers. It's the same exact thing. So trying to be like, oh, they were leaving behind the evil AAA industry and were on this path of righteousness or whatever. It's just a very disingenuous point. That is absolutely not the reality of what happened here with Wildlight. Scott closes his article by saying that thing turned out to be vehemently disliked by the masses for one reason or another, and now they must begin to rebuild yet again. No, how about they go get a different job? This line of work is clearly not for them. Like, go get a job like everyone else. Miss us with this whole, now we need to rebuild again, as if they did nothing wrong, and that they're the ones that were wronged, and now they have to rebuild because they were unjustly, like, broken apart or something. Like, what is this emotional blackmail from these people, man? Who does that? Gets 100K concurrent, and within like a week struggles to even hold around 5K concurrent before the news about the layoffs and everything. And then now it doesn't even hold like 1K. So people just really don't like this game. That is like a massive failure. And what, they're going to learn nothing from it? They're not going to try to grow as people, try to get better at the craft. No, they're just going to rebuild and do the same thing again. No, like I said, at that point, like, man, just find a different line of work. You people clearly don't care about this industry at all, or the craft, if you're not even looking to improve. Like, this should be a huge learning lesson for these people. But again, there's no talk about like learning something. There's no talk about mistakes made. It's just, oh, we were wrong. Now we need to rebuild again. Oh, okay, yeah, good luck with that. I keep driving this point home too because I look at it from a martial arts perspective as well. Here's the part where I get cringe about Muay Thai for a second. I know some people don't like when I go off and make a side note like this, but I'm going to do it. In Muay Thai, every single time we train, we always try to find something we can improve at, even if the training went well. Same thing for sparring. And again, even if your sparring went well, you're still finishing every session or maybe even every round thinking like, okay, what could I have done better there? Like, what worked, what didn't work? And then take it even further, if you're a fighter as well, if you're a Nak Muay, even more so, you know, you do a fight, even if you win the fight, you're still looking back at it thinking like, okay, maybe I could have done this part better in that round, or like I was winning, but he definitely countered my push kick very well, or like, you know, I was taking more hits than I should have, or I could have scored some more points here and there. There's always something you can learn, even when you're on the winning end, even when things are going well. So to finish the point, when I'm constantly around that sort of behavior where people are always trying to improve, whether things went well or not, and then I go online and I see these grown adults in the Western gaming industry who do a terrible job and act like there's nothing that they did wrong. There's no attempts at improving. There's just a lot of playing victim and blaming other people for their mistakes. And then also some gaslighting and emotional blackmail on top of it. And it's just such a pathetic thing to see. I'd like to end with this, a Reddit post on the official Highguard subreddit titled "Ex-Highguard dev Josh Sobel deleted the post. Josh Sobel is gone now, it seems." And this response that reads, I mean, to be honest, he left the post up way longer than I expected him to. Then again, he lacks self-awareness to not have posted it in the first place. So I guess that tracks. And I want to point out specifically this Redditor trying to defend Josh Sobel here, saying, "Let's be fair. He was just fired after a product he worked on for years failed. I think it's pretty understandable he was venting his frustrations. I might have posted something dumb I regret later too." So first of all, of course, someone's not going to be happy getting laid off, but that doesn't mean you run on social media and make a horrible post that not only makes you look bad, but drags down the entire studio too. That's what that guy did. So yeah, no, that's an excuse for his poor behavior. Second of all, that excuse doesn't even add up either, because Josh was already acting like that before he got laid off. The Game Awards occurred on Thursday, December 11th, and by December 13th, Josh was on social media already trying to misrepresent what was occurring with the criticism that Highguard was getting and trying to play victim, trying to make himself look like a victim. So no, it's not just because he was laid off. He was already acting like this about a month before he got laid off. I just thought that comment was pretty funny because it's like, that dude's really trying to defend the guy and he doesn't even know what he's talking about. At the same time, yeah, it's just one Reddit comment, but I also think it's pretty indicative of Reddit overall. I mean, you see stuff like that all over Reddit. People just posting completely false information about things, acting like they're 100% in the right, and then getting upvoted for it. Anyways, that's the latest with Highguard. I think that's all the points I wanted to make. Let me know what you think about this stuff. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.